gospel sermons that were preached, and you ask them, what are they? What did you join? And they would say, well, I was added to, I didn't join anything. I was added to the church. I was added to Christ's followers. I was added to his church, right? They wouldn't understand the idea of multiple churches. So it was, it's something we've probably all heard, but I still enjoy listening to older sermons and moving some of my books into the office and things like that. I kind of got nostalgic looking at some of my old notes and things. And
just as a side note, because this goes along with this, but I know a lot of us use study Bible, and in mine and Marcus on the same, Mark 16:16, Nielsen uses Mike's point of view as an explanation of that verse.
Yep.
So you gotta be careful.
You have to be careful. You got to be able to do like that old mule and throw the briars out while you're feeding along the fence. You ever seen a mule do that? Or you understand what I'm talking about? They'll be eating along and they'll get a briar in some of the grass, and they're good, man. They can flip that briar out and still get the grass or the leaves. But yeah, if you're studying, if you're using an NIV or a study Bible or the Living Word or some of the others, you've got to be careful. And even if you're using a King James, New King James, American Standard, whatever version you're using, you've got to be careful about the little notes and things, because they'll put in their 2 cents.
It says only faith, not baptism, is essential for salvation. Is the omission of baptism from the last clause shows. Right, they're just skipping to be baptized.
Now, did you hear that? They're saying Mark 16:16 in some of these different versions, these analytical or study Bibles will leave out the idea or the necessity of baptism in Mark 16:16. So you got to be careful what you're reading
The
through.
last clause didn't mention baptism.
Yeah, and they'll try to define it in a certain way. Yep. Yeah, that you would be saved by that belief, and then you would be baptized because of that salvation. And then, we're adding to, though. In, what is it? In, is it Numbers 10? Nadab and Abihu? I believe it is. Remember Nadab and Abihu, the story of Nadab and Abihu and the strange fire? They got fire, right? But it was the wrong one, right? It was the wrong fire. It was strange fire. It wasn't the one God had given them. The incense, or not the incense, but the burning ember that was supposed to have been used wasn't. I don't know if they were running late. I don't know what, whatever may have happened. It may, if I believe right, maybe, well, I'm interjecting some stuff here, so that's the side note you got to be watching out for. But there was something going on, if my memory serves me. But they went and they got strange fire. I want to say I'm not going to interject something. But it doesn't take much, just a little bit. Fire, I don't know much about fire in the sense of, one, they're hot, right? All fires are hot, right? And I've seen some that were blue flame, depending on what's burning, some smoke, some. But, in my mind, if you said go light a fire, I would think all fire would be the same. But if you told me this lighter has to be used in order for the fire to be right, then I would not be able to use a different lighter. I could start the fire still, but I wouldn't be listening to what you told me to do. That's what happens a lot. So Larry pushed on from the statement, it'd be flawed that the person didn't have a chance to believe. So if a person chewed and didn't swallow, then they would die. But if they only chewed, or y'all know what I'm saying. I'm getting it backwards. I'm still thinking about the fire. He says, okay, Larry replied with a smile. So then I wouldn't need to say that if I don't chew and if I don't swallow, you will die. I realized the stupidity of my argument previously, and I saw it then. Mike, Jesus said that it takes two things to be saved: belief and baptism. Belief by itself does not equal salvation. Baptism by itself does not equal salvation. Larry, I still can't see what that baptism is a necessity to be saved. I was desperate to hang on to my lifelong belief. Isn't that where the rubber meets the road in a lot of people? I don't want to change. I don't want to think that I've been wrong. I don't want to think that my family's been wrong, or I don't want to think that I have to do something different. And we get pretty serious about our beliefs, don't we? You ever seen somebody get so deep into their beliefs they won't change, despite blatant evidence of the necessity to change? It doesn't always work out well for the person. Now, sometimes it does. There's a lady that I watched an interview on a lady years ago, and she drank a Dr. Pepper or Dr. Peppers all day. Anybody else remember seeing that? It became infamous or famous or whatever. She said, I've had 4 doctors tell me that I need to drink more water, and I need to quit drinking Dr. Peppers. And she said, I've outlived all 4 of them. Well, that's just because of whatever her body adjusted. I don't know. You can't drink Dr. Pepper and only Dr. Pepper. But anyway.
You ever have a kidney stone, you'll stop that stuff.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But the reality is sometimes, a doctor says you got to stop doing this, or you got to stop eating that, right? And in some cases, if you don't stop, you will die, or you will have health problems, or you will so on and so forth. How often do people not follow what the doctor says? I think every doctor I've ever been says.
We're not doing that right now.
Yeah, you're doing it right now?
Yeah.
Yep.
I got one script sitting up on the cabinet. I'm trying to see if I can make it down.
Just gonna run it, huh? We'll just see what happens. Amanda's been telling me to go to the doctor, and I said, I'm gonna see if it gets better. He's gonna tell me lose weight and quit eating sugar. And I'm trying. As I got a piece of candy in my mouth from my throat. Well, we hold on to these things. And I like the terminology or the idea behind it. This my lifelong belief. So you're saying, Larry replied, chew and you will live, but swallowing has nothing to do with living. The argument was painful for me to participate in. And the idea of being baptized to be saved just wasn't copacetic with my thinking. But I started to understand Larry's point from the Bible. Larry continued, Jesus said in the latter part of the verse, he that believeth not shall be condemned. In other words, I cut him off. It wouldn't have to make sense for Jesus to go further, because belief in the first part of the equation is the first step, and is not. If the first step is not taken, then the second is eliminated by default. Exactly, exclaimed Larry. Mike, it's just like the ark. Noah had preached to the generation that a great flood was coming. He preached while building the ark. Noah's generation thought he was a fool and refused to heed his warnings. When the rain began and the floodwaters rose, could all of those outside the ark of God simply have prayed, God, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and save me. The ark and the flood is one of the best pictures of the necessity for obedience to the gospel. And we always say, well, to be baptized. Well, it's the best description or use of understanding how to be into the church of anything else. And I don't think it's just baptism. I think it's belief, faith, repentance, confession, all those things, and baptism to be in the ark, right? I've often sat and wondered in study what it would have been like to hear or to feel the first raindrops. Because at that point, had it rained? No. Had they ever experienced the earth? I'm sure there was earth, the tectonic plates had to be moving and things because the waters of the deep broke forth, right? What do you think those people felt? If you could put yourself in their shoes, this loony guy up on the hill is preaching about rain and water, and all we've seen is mist come down and water the plants. And he's building a boat. He's not building a boat. It looks like a barge. There's no rudder. There's no anything. There's one door. Guy doesn't even know how to build a boat. If he needed to build a boat, he couldn't build a boat. I wouldn't hire him to build a boat, right? And he's gathering animals. How's he doing? I'm sure there was a lot of interest in that. How is he doing that? And then it rained. First raindrops fell. We've got a tin roof on our house, and you could. It may sound like it's really raining, and it could just be the first little inklings of a small shower or something before the big rain. But you can hear it when it hits that roof. I wonder if they went, "What in the world?" And then momentarily they went, "Oh no." You know, years ago when he started building this, I went up there and listened to him a couple of times. And I've seen him in our community, and I didn't listen because I thought, well, I've just dismissed him. He's crazy. And he was right. The noise outside of the ark when the waters came. Wonder how many people came from distances away when they realized the rain wasn't stopping. The water wasn't stopping. It was rising daily. And they remember hearing about this crazy man on a hill with his family. So we've got to go there. What if they made it last minute, right before the waters got too deep, and they reached the side of it, and they've got their children, they've got their spouse. That's why we must be unapologetic in preaching the truth. We have to do it in love and kindness. And I think this part of the book is important because I don't know if Mike could have handled this from Randall yet.